We want to send it back to our numbers guy, CBS News elections director Anthony Salvanto. Anthony, it's a colorful map. Which states are the key ones to look at, though?
Okay, so we started the race with all these battleground states, the states that were close, the ones that don't typically go for either one party or the other. Well, here's how we're going to watch this tonight. We're going to start by looking at the states that have been leaning towards Clinton, if she can hold on to them. Now, those are places that are reliably Democratic. Your places like Wisconsin, Michigan. She's been up in the polling in New Hampshire as well. And then you've got places like Virginia. That's one of the keys, because not only has she been up in the polling there, but remember, Virginia is a place that the demographics have changed over recent years. They've become more diverse. You've got more people with college degrees moving into those northern Virginia suburbs, and that's tended to swing the state toward the Democrats. Can she hold that? Well, if she does, then if she gets Pennsylvania, which often always votes Democratic, she's getting close. And then she just needs to get, say, a North Carolina to go up over the top, or some of the states out west. All of that adds up to she's got an easier path, but you'll start to know early in the night when states like Virginia, North Carolina close, whether she's on that kind of trajectory or whether those states look closer. And it might be trending differently, maybe more towards Donald Trump, Alex.
Anthony, so that there are easier paths, but also just seems just the sheer number. She's got more paths than does Donald Trump. So get Donald Trump to 270 for us.
All right. So Donald Trump gets to 270 a few different ways. For one thing, what he could do is get a place like New Hampshire. Then he gets Florida. He hangs on to these reliably red states that have been tight in the polls, places like Georgia and Arizona. Then he gets Ohio, where he's been even in the polls and might be able to pull that out. He's been up in a couple. Well, if he does that, and I'm going to throw in Iowa for you, Josh, now he's got to go and he's got to flip some state that has been leaning towards Clinton. So let's say he gets North Carolina. Now he's getting closer. How does he get there from here? Well, if he can't break through what they call the blue wall in the upper Midwest, then he's got to go out west and get someplace like, say, Colorado to go over and add New Hampshire along with that. One of the keys there, the story that you will see, is if he can get turnout from voters who haven't voted before, and also if he can overcome Hillary Clinton's advantages with the Hispanic vote. Unless he does that, some of these western states are going to end up closed off to him, and he'll have to go through that upper Midwest, Josh.
Anthony, what about down ballot? There's some key Senate races happening in some of the same swing states. What's the prognosis for tonight?
I think it's going to be late before we know who gets control of the Senate. I think the places to watch, you're exactly right, there are a handful of battlegrounds. The places to watch here are going to be, of course, Marco Rubio's running for re-election in Florida. He's been up in our polling. You've also got Rob Portman, who's been up comfortably in Ohio. That's a place that Democrats had hoped to try for a pickup. It doesn't look likely. So they're going to have to go and get places like North Carolina. They're going to try to get Kelly Ayotte's seat. That's a Republican-held seat up in New Hampshire, and they're going to try and get what is a close race in Pennsylvania with the incumbent Pat Toomey. That's been tight in all the polling. If those start to go and start to flip, then I think you look out west further where the Democrats would love to hang on to Harry Reid's seat out in Nevada, all of which adds up to it's going to be tight, and then it's got to go out west, so it's going to be late before we know who can take control of the Senate. The last point I will make there is that in poll after poll, all of these Republican candidates have been running ahead of Donald Trump, often because even Republicans say in those polls they feel those Republican candidates are different kinds of candidates, different kinds of Republicans even from Donald Trump. So that's been worth about a 3 to 5 point movement for them in all the polls.
Anthony, get you out of here on this one then. Exactly what goes into calling a state?
Okay. It's a lot of fancy computers. It's a lot of fancy analysis. We know that. But I always say that it starts with people, which is we send interviewers out to the exit poll precincts all over the states, all over the country, and we actually talk to voters and we ask them how they voted. So we take that information, then we actually go and get the precinct counts from the elections officials as soon as the polls have closed. That comes in here, and then we get the county vote. Remember, all the elections are counted at the county level, locally. So we get that data too. So when we get all those three different kinds of data, combine that with demographic information and past vote that we know about the states, then we can start to look for patterns and see how things are trending. When we project a race, Josh, what we're saying is when all the votes are counted, our analysis looks like so-and-so is going to win. But it all comes back and it all starts with those people out there on the ground.
Elections Director Anthony Salvanto, we appreciate the time and the wisdom.
Thanks.